Hey folks, Real Honesty with John Ritlin. I'm John Ritlin. This is Rapid Fire episode 34, where I'm going to talk about, well, if you've been on the internet, that fancy, gigantic thing we know as the internet, and if you're watching on YouTube, you obviously have been, you might have noticed that there are reports of Global Force Wrestling maybe possibly being put up for sale by Anthem Sports, that Anthem Sports may want to get out of the wrestling business. I don't know if that's actually true. I just want to make it clear that I've read articles, especially the Sports Illustrated article. Take it with a grain of salt because it could turn out, even though they check their sources and even though they check this stuff, especially, something like Sports Illustrated, it's entirely possible that this could just be all rumors and maybe it's not actually going to happen. But these are the pieces I wrote down. Now, some of you may have read that Jeff Jarrett got sent home, and it actually is out as Chief Operating Officer, I believe, is one of the titles he has, or the main title that he has. He was sent home on an indefinite leave for personal reasons. Now, I don't know what those personal reasons are. I hope that everything's okay with his children. I hope everything's okay with his wife. I'm not sure what those reasons are. I hope he doesn't have substance abuse issues or health issues of his own that he may have issues with. I hope that that's not the case. I hope that he can get his head on straight, that if it's actually something personal and not just, being used as a nice way of saying that we're firing this guy because we just don't trust him. And that's possible too. But hopefully it's nothing horrible. Hopefully everything's okay with his family, with his children, with himself, and hopefully that if anything is wrong with him or any of the people I mentioned, that everything can be cleared up and that he'll be okay. I'm not the biggest fan of Jeff Jarrett, the wrestler or the businessman, but I certainly don't wish that the man himself has any issues with his children, his wife, or anything like that. I mean, the man lost his first wife, Jill, did a famous interview, a little interview piece at Slammiversary 2007 where he had just lost his wife Jill to cancer. And it was really emotional, and you had to have felt for the guy. No one deserves to see their loved one go through that. But anyway, back to the whole thing about it. Jeff Jarrett was sent home. Anthem did not comment further in a media call. They basically just confirmed it, but did not comment further. And I wrote down more stuff here that I'm going to read. So just, bear with me while I look here to A, read my own handwriting, and B, not misquote anything. But Sports Illustrated said the following: apparently Global Force Wrestling is hemorrhaging money. And by the way, Jarrett still owns the Global Force Wrestling name. Anthem owns Impact. They hadn't acquired the rights to the Global Force Wrestling name yet, which is weird. I mean, I know they had the stuff going on with El Patron and the Broken Hardys gimmick and the Billy Corgan lawsuit earlier this year and stuff like that. They've been taking care of other deals and doing co-promotions with other companies. They had a bunch of talents at the Triple Mania 25 show recently and have done stuff in India and various other locations. And they recently started running live events, so they have a lot of stuff that they're doing. But apparently Global Force Wrestling is hemorrhaging money. It's like hemorrhaging funds badly. Anthem is ready to withdraw itself and get out of the business. They want to sell Global Force Wrestling according to this article. I just want to say that. I'm not saying that I wish this stuff would happen. But if true, if any of this stuff is true, it's pretty bad. And it sounds even worse than last year. Because last year it seemed like everything was hopeless. And that they wouldn't be able to get Bound for Glory off the ground. And now at least they have the pay-per-view clearance for Bound for Glory. But is it still going to happen? That's another question. That's not answered in the article, but that's just a question I have. But Anthem had to reportedly Anthem had to gut the Fight Network to finance Global Force Wrestling. Which is weird because with the restructured contracts that they have where they only pay people, a one-time appearance fee and they get to keep the merch money and everything, like, Anthem keeps the merch money or Impact keeps the merch money. Their low money offers to a lot of the talents, I wouldn't think that they'd be spending that much. But at the same time, they don't sell tickets at Universal Studios. Universal Studios may pay them to put on the show there, but they keep getting tourist crowds and tourist crowds and tourist crowds, and it kind of turns into the same issue WCW Saturday Night had, where, shooting at Disney MGM Studios, you get a fresh audience and everything, but it's a small audience, and it's not financially responsible. It's a stopping point, to start somewhere else, but it's not a way that you can continue to make your promotion and make it grow. Like being in Universal Studios, it's really the only way they can have TV, and they are signed on Pop TV through 2018 apparently. And they even have, and let me see if I get this right, they have a global wrestling network that's going to be coming out like Anthem does. And it's going to be 24-hour access to the GFW and Impact Wrestling tape library. That's going to be launched on Pluto TV, apparently, or at least it's been announced. I'm not sure when it's going to launch on Pluto TV. I didn't catch that, so just forgive me there. I mean, maybe it could launch next week for all I know. It could launch sometime next year, which I think is really cool if that's actually going to happen. But see, all the stuff, the Sports Illustrated article and other things came out about Global Force having money issues and all this stuff, and then suddenly this press release gets sent out about, the Global Wrestling Network. And also right after Jeff Jarrett was sent home. See, you got these issues, and you got the El Patron situation, which they have resolved, and I think he may be appearing at Bound for Glory. I'm not exactly sure. But, yeah, it's a real big mess. And, I mean, more stuff and everything. I mean, like I said, Jarrett still owns the Global Force Wrestling name. Anthem could sell Impact, mainly the tape library, if they really wanted. Like, if they wanted to get some money out of it, they could sell a tape library to somebody. Of course, WWE would be the top suitor. And I'm not saying I wish this would happen. But if Billy Corgan, doesn't want to have it, because he has the NWA, if he doesn't want it, if Ring of Honor doesn't want it, if New Japan doesn't want it, if a big-time billionaire or multimillionaire or whatever, if a bunch of people, can't come together or come up with the money to buy this, at this point, and I feel so bad for the talents, but WWE might be the way to go. The tape library would get sold off for a good, 3, 4, 5 million, I would think, because that footage is worth something. It's worth something, especially to WWE. They could pay some really good money for it. It would help, anthologies, sets for Styles, Rude, Joe, Angle, various other people if they wanted to release one on Aries, even though Aries is no longer with the company. But of course, they could sell, Anthem could sell to Ring of Honor if Ring of Honor wanted to buy it, Sinclair Broadcasting specifically. But if I'm right, I think Ring of Honor is shown on the Fight Network in Canada, which is a little weird. And I mean, I hope that any of this stuff about having to gut the Fight Network doesn't actually affect Ring of Honor's ability to be on in Canada, in any other markets. Because Ring of Honor, while kind of plateauing a bit, even though it's still putting on some great matches, I certainly don't want to see any companies fall. And that's the whole thing about this. They can sell to Billy Corgan, sell to Ring of Honor, sell to WWE. But since Jarrett's been sent home, Anthem's kind of looking to get rid of stuff. If they're looking to get rid of this, I wouldn't blame them if they decide to negotiate with WWE finally. And it's unfortunate for the talents. All the hardworking talents, where the people have just recently gotten there, been there for a few years, been there for a number of years. I mean, yes, James Storm had a couple matches in NXT when he had when he wasn't with Impact for a little bit, but still, TNA, TNA original, because it was TNA back then, an original. Lashley's done very well there. A lot of talents have done really, really well there. The in-ring product itself actually isn't that bad. They put on some pretty good matches. The problem is there's not a lot of flow to the management and the stories. People keep leaving or get suspended or have issues with the company. And they tape all these tapings in one setting like they did for the Bound for Glory tapings. They've taped 12 weeks worth of programming and they still have about, I think about 8 weeks till Bound for Glory is going to happen. 7, 8 weeks, something like that. So they taped all these, episodes of Impact. And Low Key's left, and I think a couple other people left. But Low Key's left and come back to that company plenty of times. So whatever, that's almost a running gag. But they didn't. But Anthem apparently did not fly. They flew talents in for the tapings, but then sent them home instead of keeping people around for all the tapings, so they wouldn't have to keep paying them. Like the contracts, you guys would have to try and like Google stuff and figure out all the contracts and figure out how all that stuff works. Because I'm not going to get into all that because I try to talk about a few subjects on rapid fire and make some good points and just present a good argument for whatever point I'm trying to make. I will say this. It's unfortunate if any of this is true and Anthem is looking to sell Impact Wrestling because it's the Global Force Wrestling name still owned by Jarrett. Well, still, if they sell the Impact Wrestling company, was Jarrett have? He's going to have find somebody else to show his 2+ year-old footage. And it's unfortunate for the talents that have worked so hard, whether they've been there for a little bit or not, or been there for a number of years. It's unfortunate for the production staff, for the agents, for all the people that have put their hard work into this company, if any of this is true. If any of this is true, it's just so unfortunate. At this point, though, if it is true, you blow it up. Blow up the company. What can be salvaged out of this? Unless, because if Anthem wants to sell, what other people are going to come in? We'll find out. I mean, that's really just my speculation here. I just wanted to present these points as best I could and really just talk about it to a point. Because really, I am a big wrestling fan. That's why I have this shirt, TNA since 2002. Now, yes, I got this in one of my brown bag specials that they were doing when they were trying to clear out the warehouse of a whole bunch of stuff. Or at least, deplete a lot of the merchandise they have, like especially a lot of the older merchandise. But I've appreciated this company since 2003. And I did manage to watch the stuff back, as far as 2002 goes. But I've appreciated this company for a number of years. Now, it's gotten to the point where I don't watch every single week. I watch clips when I can. I read reviews. But I watch clips and watch stuff when I can. Personally, I can't stand Josh Matthews on commentary. That's my own personal belief. But Impact still has a good amount of fans. The problem is something like Pop TV, they're not getting better advertising revenue, if any. They're producing a show out of a dead zone of the Impact Zone. It's a real shame that they aren't going to be able to have TV on the road. I know that costs money, but it's a shame that they can't do that because that's when they were doing pretty well. Unfortunate thing is if they really are hemorrhaging money to the point where Anthem wants to get rid of them, if Anthem is worth this much money and doesn't feel it's worth it, then who else is going to touch it? That's a real question. So if this is true, and I mean, I've said that a lot, but I emphasize if, even though I believe the Sports Illustrated article and everything, I'm not wishing that Impact go away. Impact Global Force Wrestling, I'm not wishing it goes away. But if it's a constant struggle to just barely stay alive and barely trickle along, I mean, what else are they going to do? Seriously, what else are they going to do? And this is just my opinion. I don't want it to go away. If it has to be bought out by Ring of Honor or Sinclair Broadcasting, I believe, get purchased by Billy Corgan. Maybe he can make something happen with it. I mean, he would have to put it on TV and probably just blow it all up and rebrand it. But I think he can make it work. He could find maybe another location centralized to produce it, or a few locations to produce TV and keep it low cost. Because Corgan, passionate wrestling fan, seems to understand the business properly. So I hope that's the case. Worst case scenario, and I say worst case scenario even though, yes, as a WWE Network subscriber, it would be cool to see Impact Wrestling and the TNA, Impact Wrestling pay-per-views on the network. But that might be where it goes. That might be. I mean, that's the worst case scenario though. Hopefully, all this stuff can be resolved with Anthem. Maybe they can find a way to have a common ground. Maybe somebody else can buy it and take it somewhere. If not, then it's unfortunate. It's just unfortunate, and that's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to say RIP TNA, RIP Global Force Wrestling, RIP Impact. I'm not going to say that, except just like that. I'm not going to say and rejoice and, oh, yeah, this kind of stuff. I don't want to see people without a job. And any reasonable wrestling fan doesn't want to see people without a job. Now, does that mean I don't see it happening? I can see it happening. Because I thought that this rebranding with Anthem would work. And it seemed at first like it was working. And then by Slammiversary, I kind of wondered if it was working. And now they're slamming all these pay-per-view or all these tapings in at once, and they're doing the GFW Amped series that they're doing, the anthology, and using all this old footage. It's just not good. And then the Triple Mania fiasco, which I'm not saying is Impact Wrestling's fault, but Jarrett acting very erratic, which he could have just been playing a character, tossing tortillas in the crowd and tossing a beer on somebody. I mean, apparently, I guess that's the kind of character Jeff Jarrett plays in Mexico. I'm not as familiar with that. I've only seen very little of Jeff Jarrett in Mexico. I try not to watch too many Jeff Jarrett matches because you've seen one, you've seen them all. But again, I don't wait about the guy being sent home. Don't wish ill on him. I don't. I really, really don't. Unless something comes out otherwise that makes me, get angry about it. That's the perspective I'm going to take now. Same with Anthem. I feel bad if any of this is true. I just feel bad for the talent and the hard work and the hard-working behind-the-scenes people. That's really who I feel bad for. I feel so bad for Dixie. Dixie was an idiot that got in the wrestling business. I mean, invested in it and did save it, to be fair, as far as finances, but then ruined it. And no, Jarrett has not run companies all that well. But again, I'm not going to wish ill on the guy or his family. And I have seen that done, and I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. Now, other stuff I'm going to talk about in this rapid fire. Nikki Bella on Dancing with the Stars. Who the fuck cares? I mean, maybe I do because I decided to comment. One, I didn't know Dancing with the Stars was still happening. Though I did apparently find out that Lindsay Sterling, great violinist, great talent, great, beautiful talent right there. She's going to be on Dancing with the Stars. Okay, that's appealing because she actually has talent. And I'm sorry, Nikki Bella, look, I don't wish ill. I don't wish that she's unable to provide and have a career. I hope that her in-ring career is over because I certainly have no desire to see her back. But just Dancing with the Stars, I mean, it's like, are you scraping the bottom of the barrel here? Because, sorry, I just don't find Nikki Bella that appealing. I just don't. I just have never found Nikki Bella that appealing. She's just not interesting. Not interesting to me at all. I've just never understood it. Never understood the appeal one bit. Good for her, she does well, but I don't know, hopefully she can act better here than she can on, Total Divas, Total Bellas, or in the ring. Wins, losses, who cares? She's not a bad person. She's fake. I don't really care for how fake she looks, but I certainly don't wish her, the inability to get success. So good luck to her, though she's not a star to me, but whatever. Now, last piece, Asuka relinquishing the NXT Women's title after 523 days because of a broken collarbone. She'll need a number of weeks to heal. They say 6 to 8 weeks. I think they're going to stretch it out to Survivor Series. I think she could appear at Survivor Series. She could appear the night after Survivor Series. I think I would do that, and that way you give her time to heal because she's done a great job in the NXT Women's division. You could argue that her long title reign maybe wasn't the best, but one, I enjoy long title reigns. In 523 days, if I'm right, I think was the number that Lex Luger had as the longest reigning U.S. champion. And no, I'm not a fan of Lex Luger. Can't stand the guy one bit. But that's a number that leapt out to me, and I wondered why 523 seemed familiar. I think it's 523. Could be a little more, a little less. But for Asuka, I'm not going to listen to shit that she buried the women's division. Because first off, that's creative that did that. Asuka did not bury the women's division. Now, did she always have the best matches? No. And part of that is Japanese style doesn't always mix well with American style. Asuka, first off, I love Asuka. I love her in-ring style. I love the way she moves. I love the way she looks. I think she's beautiful. And I think she's just extremely talented. I felt so bad for her that it was an injury that forced her to relinquish the title. Now, is it entirely possible that they're pumping up how bad this injury is just to get her to have her relinquish the title to avoid her undefeated streak ending? Sure. I actually thought that Ember Moon would end the streak. And I'm actually a little surprised it didn't happen. In retrospect, that might come back to bite them in the ass, but at the same time, seeing Asuka do this and relinquish the title and get this big send off, and it was great. And she was upset. I mean, I was kind of upset, but I mean, I knew it was coming because I'd seen the NXT spoilers. The stuff was taped a couple weeks ago, but still, it's really sad. But good for her. Good for her. And please put her on SmackDown. Don't put her on Raw. God, they're gonna. I mean, they'll probably ruin her on whatever show anyway, because Vince just doesn't get how to use a lot of foreign talents. And I mean, sorry. I guess he gets that Nakamura's a big star. Asuka could be a big star for the women's division, but they just don't seem to understand what they're doing. Whatever. Here's the bottom line. The bottom line is that Asuka meant a lot to the women's division, and hopefully will do well on either the Raw or SmackDown Live women's division. Because Asuka is money. Asuka's a money performer. She could lose her first match in like say 3-4 months. I'm not saying she's going to get much of a streak. She could get a 6-month streak and then lose it on and off, like on and off SmackDown, and they'll be like, okay, that what? Like she doesn't need a 2-year undefeated streak or a nearly 2-year undefeated streak on the main roster. But her matches stand out. The couple matches she had with Bayley I thought were pretty good. The match with Nia Jax at TakeOver the end I didn't really care for. And that's because Nia was still green at that point. And Nia's still having some issues, in part because of that bodysuit. But Asuka's had some pretty damn good matches. She had a good match with Ember Moon, with Ruby Riott and Nikki Cross. Love Nikki Cross, love Ruby Riott. There's a lot. She had a lot of good stuff. She had some good matches on NXT TV. Her promos, I mean, English is not her first language. She's going to have some promos that are a little short, and, maybe it seems like she struggles a little bit with it. Same with Shinsuke, even though Shinsuke seems to speak some good English. Not his first language, that's going to happen. But Asuka meant a lot to the women's division. And hopefully, I think they're going to take the NXT women's title and they're going to give it to the winner of the Mae Young Classic, which hopefully is Kairi Sane. I mean, now mind you, I'm recording this actually on the 7th of, very early on the 7th. That's why you might notice the lights acting up a little bit, because if I turned it off, it's like about midnight here. So it'd be all dark and it would just be my eyes doing this. Like that creature from Pan's Labyrinth that puts the eyes in his hands. It's an awesome movie if you haven't seen it. I forgot my point. With Asuka, it's great. Maybe she could present the women's title at the Mae Young Classic. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what her recovery time is. I know it's going to be in Vegas, but Asuka meant a lot to the women's division. And just really in closing, it's great. Thank you, Asuka. I mean, she's not going to watch this, but big fan. Can't wait to see what they're going to do with her on the main roster. Don't ruin her. I mean, it doesn't need a 2-year undefeated streak. Give her a 6-month undefeated streak. I would have her be a heel. I almost would have Asuka be a heel. I almost thought, even though she's very likable and very sweet and everything, very sweet looking, I think being a heel would be better. But I mean, they could have her be a face at first. They could have her be a heel for her 6-month run. She could lose a match, and then she could, be humbled, and then turn babyface. Who knows? But anyway, that's what I gotta say about all that stuff. What do you think of what I said about the Global Force, Anthem fiasco stuff? What do you think of that? What do you think of what I said about Nikki Bella? Sorry, Nikki Bella's not a star. What do you think about what I said about Asuka? Any subjects you guys want me to talk about, leave them in the comments, as long as they're timely, topical. Or if you have questions for me, because I do questions for me shows, you can drop those in the comments also. Anyway, like, share, subscribe. Also, it's been Real Honesty with John Ritlin. I'm John Ritlin, and I will see you soon.